Well, hello. Welcome to the Law and Crime Network. I am Linda Kenny Bodden, and this is the afternoon session. And what a session it will be. Well, we have a lot to speak about, and I'd like to introduce my guest this afternoon, who is here in studio with me. And I know both of his partners, Judge Barry Kamens and Arthur Ardala. But Imran, Ansari, nice to have you on for the first time together. So let me ask you about this. Sometimes cell tower experts, and this is John Sawicki, he's on for the defense case, okay, can be a little bit dry. But he kind of is a bit animated. Tell me what you think of his style of testimony as opposed to his substance.
Right. I actually was, thinking about that while observing his testimony. I was thinking, this guy, he's sort of likable. You know, he's easy to listen to. He's engaging. Whereas, as you said, you sometimes have these forensic experts, and they're so scientific, they're so to the book that you lose the jury. So I think this is a good choice for the defense in terms of at least his demeanor on the stand, but we have to see what he has to say, of course. Now
the defense attorney who is questioning him on direct as his witnesses for the state is somebody we have had on the air here before, okay? His name is Sam Zagene, okay? So Sangane. I'm terrible at pronunciation, as you see. I'm from New Jersey, so we don't quite get the
I'm from Jersey, too.
Oh, my God. Here we go. Okay. So he's trying to point the finger at an in-law. Why?
Well, drumming up reasonable doubt, right? You have this incredible backstory here about the
Charlie Edelson.
The Edelson, the spousal relationship going on the Fritz, the sort of background story here, a hitman for hire. And for the defense, he has to point the fingers to the Edelsons in many ways. He has to get that reasonable doubt drummed up as to his client. And I think that's really the defense here. We have a state's witness who is flipped and is pointing the fingers at these two individuals as co-conspirators, co-defendants in the case. And he has to do that. He has to bring out that backstory. He has to drum up the reasonable doubt.
So what Imran is saying, that the attorney for one of the defendants, Sigfredo Garcia, is saying that indeed it's somebody else that maybe is really involved in this, and my client just kind of got wrapped up in stuff, so to point the figure away morally and legally from his client to somebody else who's not on trial. Okay, I'm here with my guest, Imran Ansari. Let's explain this for our viewers a lot simpler. Pick up your pen, okay? This is cell tower A, right? So if I'm driving along with my car and I have my cell phone up, it may hook to that tower if my tower has an antenna like this that's pointed right at it. If it's pointed at that way, it may also hook, but it could jump me to another tower across the room because either it's not quite right, or there's too many people on it in rush hour, or you're in the city and they jump towers. So what's the benefit for the defense of all this?
Well, again, and that's why you have drop calls. Sometimes the tower is sort of full to capacity and is trying to pass that to another cell tower, and the call drops. It's a benefit to the defense because if there's going to be evidence regarding cell site information linking one of these defendants or both of these defendants to a certain area and a certain cell tower, well, again, there's a possibility, there's a theory that then that was bounced to another area. So it's not necessarily at that cell tower, yet that call was sent over, or to use their word, kicked to another tower. And again, it's another theory, it's another reasonable doubt.
Another reasonable doubt. But let me say one thing that Mr. Sawicki, who is testifying actually for one of the defendants, and that would be Garcia, Sigfredo Garcia. Now, the defense attorney for Catherine Benoit gets to cross-examine them. Why is that?
Right, because, well, their interests aren't necessarily aligned, right? They're on some points, they're going to have a common interest in putting forth a defense to this crime. In terms of pointing the fingers at the Edelsons, but on many points, they're going to be adverse. So he's not her expert. He's going to get up there, he's going to cross-examine that expert to draw out testimony that's favorable to his client. So even though it's the co-defendant here, this is the co-defendant's expert. If you're going to get out information favorable to your client, now's the opportunity to do it.
Well, one of the things that came out in the direct examination by Sam Zangay, I'm going to get his name wrong, Zonganay. I'm going to get his name wrong all day. New Jersey, just can't pick it up today. So let me just say, he said that Charlie Adelson, who is the ex-brother-in-law of the deceased Dan Markel, had 2,000 either text messages, whether they're SMS or multimedia messaging, that he deleted on his phone in this like about a 6-month period or less. Now, why is that important to the defense? Is it only because that Adelson then could have direct contact with Luis Rivera, who got a great deal, which we'll talk about later?
Well, again, that could be building to a larger argument of consciousness of guilt on his behalf. It's, again, pointing the finger at this empty seat in the courtroom, stating my client was not part of this crime. My client didn't have the role that the prosecution says that he or she has, and it was Charlie. It was Charlie Adelson, and where is he? That's, again, a consciousness of guilt sort of piece of information that you learn here, that he deleted all these text messages, all these calls. The big question is why, and again, it's drumming up that reasonable doubt to say you cannot convict my client.
So you know what? We're going to take a quick break, but before we go, I just want to explain to you why we have cell towers. You know what they were really for and why we keep track of them from your phone? That's so if I'm like an AT&T customer and I go through a cell tower owned by Sprint, Sprint can then bill back. Because they want to get their money for the use of their towers. They'll bill AT&T, and that's why the phone companies really keep track of your cell phone. Just a little piece of trivia in case you ever are on Jeopardy. We're going to be right back. Stay tuned. Melinda Kenny Bodden, and this is the Law and Crime Network.